Hey, Tim and Trevor White. Hey, thank you so much for joining the Beyond the Fame podcast.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for having
having
me.
us.
We are talking to the brothers, the Oscar nominated awesome brother producers of Carolina Caroline, their newest movie, but a ton of other movies you guys have definitely heard of, from King Richard to on and on and on. We'll get to all of them as we go in this interview. Don't worry. We're here talking because this Saturday, Carolina Caroline plays at the Annapolis Film Festival. I guess the festival itself runs March 26th through 29th. What is that? Thursday to Sunday? Do I got that right? Yeah. So before we get to your movie, festival itself, I know you've been a bunch of times. It's kind of a family event in a way. I've covered it many years on the radio. Which movies are you looking forward to seeing outside of yours? Have you looked at the slate yet?
Well, I will say, unfortunately, Tim and I aren't able to get back there this year.
Okay.
So that's the first thing is we're stuck here in LA. We're in the middle of a project at the moment.
Yeah.
So we couldn't make it back, but every year we help our mother, who is the festival director, co-director, Patty White, along with her partner Lee Anderson. We look through the films they have, and every year they always surprise us with how eclectic the group of films are, how interesting they are, how many mainstream kind of independence they get. We're really happy about the slate this year.
How about that festival itself? Like, it's a walkable town, Annapolis. It's like a cool vibe to come out to a festival compared to other places, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly it's an amazing festival. I mean, we've been back, a number of times and been pretty involved in it. And really they just treat the filmmakers so well there. I think everyone has an amazing time. Whenever we've had movies there and we've brought the director at the end, the director never wants to leave because they have such a good time. The crowds are amazing. Everyone loves it. So they do a good job.
Absolutely. You got to come out to the Annapolis Film Festival. Everybody that's listening to this, and even those that aren't listening to this, they'll come out. All right. Well, now let's go. And without further ado, your latest movie, Carolina Caroline, premiered at Toronto, which is the big kickoff for a lot of them, and now it's playing in
Yeah.
Annapolis this Saturday. I know what it's about. You know what it's about, but our listeners don't. So give us some. Who wants to take the basic premise? It doesn't have to be official, log line ease. It can
Sure.
be rough.
What were
Sure.
you?
Well, yeah, I'll take it. The movie is about our lead character is Caroline, played by Samara Weaving, the amazing Samara Weaving,
Awesome.
and she's this small town Texas girl lives with her father. Her mother's not in the picture anymore, and she for years has been kind of yearning to find her mother, and has kind of through the grapevine heard that she's living out in South Carolina.
Mhm.
And she's got this dream to escape her small town of Texas and get out there and meet her finally.
Mhm.
And then this mysterious man shows up, and he's got a grift he runs. He's definitely a con artist of some sort, but he's also intoxicating, and she can't help herself but fall into it. And together they begin to fall for each other, and then he begins to train her, and they go out on the run together as as a you know couple who's beginning to fall in love as they're robbing, you know, starting small stores, little corner stores, into larger with banks. And it's a lovers on the run bank robbing movie, all while she's kind of on the road in pursuit of finding her mother.
We
Um,
rob banks. Absolutely. Well, I love this.
Yeah.
I'm in. As soon as you're describing it, I love this genre, or subgenre, whatever you want to call it, of the crime. Two lovers in crime out on the run.
I think it did feel like a bit of a throwback. It sort of felt like a kind of 80s, 90s movie that, we all grew up on and loved that, are not probably made as much anymore. But I think Adam, filmmaker, had like a really um fresh kind of take on it and sort of exciting way to do something that I think we felt like audiences, really wanted and kind of missed right now.
Yeah, you mentioned 80s, 90s, and I agree. There was some great in there as well. David Lynch's Wild at Heart, Ridley Scott's Thelma
Yeah,
and Louise, Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers. Even more recently, Melina Matsuka's Queen and Slim. Gotta remember Queen and Slim. But we
yeah,
can take it
and
all
True
the way.
Romance. I mean,
True
True
Romance, yeah, of
Romance.
course. Yeah,
I mean,
Tony Scott.
there's a whole subgenre here, as you said, and Thelma and Louise was definitely a huge influence, as was True Romance, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's such a fun sandbox to play in, and the movie is well, I hope you guys go see it, um, but it is really just a wild ride.
Absolutely. And those are the ones we've mentioned from our lifetimes because we're all 80s babies. But I, as a film professor, I take it all the way back. Obviously I quoted Arthur Penn's Bonnie and Clyde, like probably the goat of this. But
Of
then you get
course,
Terrence Malick's Badlands. I mean, come on, how good is Sissy Spacek and Martin Sheen in that?
yeah, and Badlands was a huge influence for the director.
Oh yeah, and this is Adam
Yeah.
Raymer. You said Adam
Yeah.
Ray
Adam Raymeyer, yeah, Adam
Raymeyer.
Carter Raymeyer, who's honestly, he is one of those filmmakers who can take something on the page and just elevate it in terms of its tone and visual kind of essence. And he's really just got such a clear, fun, exciting vision.
That's awesome. And so if our listeners don't know, he was behind that Sundance hit Dinner in America a couple years ago. A couple indies you'd recognize that have done well before doing this. But you were saying that which one did you say was his influence? You said Badlands. Malik was the
Badlands was one
he
of them,
actually
yeah.
said that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, all these movies we're referencing
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
things we looked at.
Absolutely. I gotta throw in Nicholas Ray's They Live by Night and Joseph Lewis's Gun Crazy. Like we can take it way back. There's been some good ones all the way back to like the noir days of Going on the Run. But I think we named most of them. That might even be enough for a top 10 list. So well,
I'm
you
sure.
got to come out, folks, and see if Carolina Caroline enters your top 10 of this Lovers on the Run movie. It sounds promising. All right, cool. Well, without further ado, you mentioned the cast. Let's go into it a little bit. So Samara Weaving, I mean, she was awesome in that hide and seek horror movie, Ready or Not. I remember my wife and I saw it in the theaters, and we were like really impressed by her. But she actually came on this podcast for what was it? Chevalier. Do you remember that movie, Chevalier? Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
I like how I'm like, do you remember it? You're like, yeah, that's probably why we cast her. But anyway, I'll ask you why, and then we'll get to Kyle in a second. But why do you think Samara was so perfect for this role?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. We just watched her in a couple different things leading up to it, and sometimes it's really hard to kind of place exactly what makes someone so perfect or something, but you just kind of get like an energy or a vibe from it. And really, it was Adam's call. It's the director's call, and I think Adam had a really strong, point of view on her that like she could really do this.
I love it. Do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts on that, Trevor? Yeah.
well, yeah, she really balances kind of the innocence. I mean, this character goes on a huge character arc through the course of this movie. And Samara is just so effortless. Like she's naturally a lot of these things. She's fun, she's bold, she makes daring choices, and she's incredibly sweet. She kind of naturally has all the things that Caroline has uh, in her core, and I think Adam noticed that early.
I love it. All right, and then the other lover on the run, we got to go into Kyle Gallner, Veronica Mars, Smile. But speaking of bold, Strange Darling was probably I think I put it in my top 10 movies of last year. I feel like it needed to. I mean, it got good reviews, but then the genre movies they always get forgotten by the end of the critics' lesson at the end of the year, and I'm like, no, man, Strange Darling blew me the hell away. So did you all watch Kyle in that, or were there other roles he did that you think is what made Adam think that he would be perfect for this?
Well, Kyle stars in Adam's first movie, Dinner in America,
Oh, that's right.
and so we all watched Dinner in America. And Adam, from the very beginning, when he came on, he said, "I think we should cast Kyle." I mean, he just felt it in his bones. He knew Kyle, and I think as soon as we saw Kyle, you know, capture the voice of Oliver and get in those clothes and wardrobe, we were like, "Oh, this is it," you know.
So they had a little bit of a shorthand together, having worked
Oh
together.
yeah, very close, very close. And Kyle's such a great guy that it's hard not to
It
feel
pro
that.
it probably won't be the last time they work together either. He'll be the
Well, they've already done another movie together since. So
oh coming up. What's it called? Do we
called
know?
Bobby. Yeah, they
Bobby.
shot it. Yeah, they just shot it.
He's the Bobby De Niro to Adam's Scorsese. They're a little bit of
There
a
you go.
muse going through here, I guess.
For
Uh,
sure.
all right, cool. And then I guess we'd be remiss if we don't mention that there's also a pretty cool supporting cast here. It's pretty deep bench, including the great Kira Sedgwick. We all remember the Emmy-winning role in The Closer.
Mhm.
Not to mention the ultimate winner of any game of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon because she says one like half a degree away, his wife. But a great actress in her own right. Tease our listeners without giving anything away, but she's the estranged mom, I'm assuming. She's the dying lad in The Wild at Heart, if that's what we're going.
She is. She is. And Tim and I got to work with Kira back in 2019. We did a movie with her called Villains.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
she's so good. She's also an actress who's pretty fearless. And I think this role, it's well, there are no small roles, but in terms of screen time, it doesn't eat up a lot of screen time, but it is arguably the most memorable sequence in the entire movie. So she certainly makes an impact on the short amount of time she's there. Um, so we needed someone who could carry that moment to the full effect of what it was.
That's awesome. Hey, you don't always need a lot of screen time to make the impact, right? You know?
You sure don't.
What was it?
Sure don't.
Network. Was it Beatrice Straight win supporting actress for that one scene? Or even Hannibal Lecter. He's barely in the thing and iconic. All right, awesome. All right, well, we can maybe loop back around to the movie by the end, but without at usually at a certain point in the interview, I like since you're the hometown heroes, I want to paint your superhero origin stories and tell everyone like where you grew up and how you got into this to begin with. So I guess you were what, Tim? You were born. You're the older one, right? By a couple years, right? So
Yeah,
you,
I'm the older
yeah.
one by a couple of years.
Tim
I
is
think
1983,
I'm
and
Two.
Trevor's
82.
you're 82, and Trevor's 85. All right, cool, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
You're ET,
we
and he's Back to the Future.
that's exactly
I
right.
like that.
I think I was actually born just kind of right around ET.
Yeah,
Because our mom, always says that like she went to ET, I think right after I was born or right before or something like that, and kind of, you know, was always into her mind,
you were almost named Elliot White.
maybe. But yeah, so we grew up in Annapolis. Obviously, we have a mother who's like I think, a very well-established documentary filmmaker, reality TV producer, and then ultimately founded the Annapolis Film Festival. So we're always kind of around the business,
Yeah,
connected to it a little bit. I think after we both graduated from college, we moved out to LA. We had a couple jobs working for different people for a couple of years. But then pretty soon after that, we decided to start our own company.
yeah,
And um, it was honestly probably foolishly naive, at the outset. We're basically trying to develop our own movies with writers from scratch.
yeah.
But after a couple of years, we started to get things going. And by I think, 2014, 2015, we'd actually made a couple movies and we had a decent development slate. And then I think,
Yeah.
like is probably the case for anyone who has kind of any level of success in this business. We got some really lucky breaks around 2015. We had some projects that just kind of worked out really well. Spielberg signed on to one of
Yeah.
our scripts, and that was a really kind of, life-changing event. And that was kind of how we got going.
I love it. And gosh, so many different things I want to unpack there because I want to chart all these great movies and Spielberg and everything in a minute. But I'll have to tell everybody it's called Star Thrower Entertainment, right? That's what you call. But
Yeah.
actually, even before that, I'm really curious. Just growing up, like I mean, we mentioned like the movies, the years you were born, but like. I'm assuming you growing up. I mean, I'm a Maryland boy too, but was it just picking crabs? Were you fishing out on the bay? Were you Orioles fans? I know you put the Billy Ripken bat in one of your movies.
Yeah, exactly. Wow,
The F face bat.
Which
what
movie is
a
that in?
deep
Wait.
8-bit Christmas.
Oh, right.
8-bit
That's
Christmas
that is
with
such a
Neil
good pull
Patrick
right there.
Harris.
So so
Oh,
that also will tell you a lot because I think I was definitely still to this day die hard Baltimore Orioles
Same.
and Baltimore Ravens fan. I cannot wait for opening day tomorrow.
Yep.
I've got it on my calendar.
Or today or yesterday, depending when I run this.
I've got two young boys
Yeah.
and they're growing up in LA, obviously,
Yeah.
and they're starting to like sports teams.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to kind of push my Baltimore teams on them, but I
Yeah.
think they're gravitating towards the LA teams right now, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
Easier to be a Dodgers fan than an O's fan these days. But yeah,
well, hey, we'll
here,
see. We'll
dude, come
see.
on, raise them right. Let's go. The land of Ripken.
But coming back to your question, it's interesting. Tim and I actually had very different our paths to film were different. I think my parents really saw like an innate love of movies when I was really young. When I was 10 years old for Christmas, my parents got me a high 8 camera,
Nice.
and that camera became like it changed my whole life because basically, I had sports, I had my friends, but like honestly, all I wanted to do was make movies with my friends. So
Yeah.
I'd have my friends over and we would do these crazy characters. I'd film it, I'd turn it into movies. I'd hop on my mom's editing software. I remember when we got the original iMovie and I just became like obsessed with making movies.
Yeah.
It was much harder at that time than it is today. But
Yeah.
um anyway, so I kind of made movies throughout my entire teen years and always knew at that time I didn't even know what producing was. So directing was the path. I wanted to direct and went to college
Cornell.
went to Cornell, focused on film in that, I was a film major and still throughout college made shorts. And then Tim started kind of falling into the idea of what, you know, producing would look like. And Tim can speak to this better than me, but he started producing my shorts in college. And
And
we
he's
would
at
make the
Williams
shorts.
College. But are you working on films together at different schools or like during summer breaks?
Yeah, it was really after
After.
we both graduated and we're living in LA that we
Got it.
made a couple of shorts together. And I think at that point, we were probably also trying to really launch our company overall and kind of like develop scripts as well, which, we could try to put together as features. But I think, at the end of the day, the only real way, and I think we really believe this, and I think we learned the hard way, but it was really helpful, is the only real way to, I think, learn how to produce a movie is to just kind of jump in with something, try it, and kind of mess everything up, uh, and get like, yelled at a lot and have things really blow up in your face. But you will definitely learn that way.
I love it. And then so at the beginning, it's Tim. I guess the first, you said you did some shorts, but the first like big feature would have been Tim producing, Trevor directing the
Yeah, so we
true
started,
crime drama Jamesy Boy. Is that
exactly.
it?
So that was a movie, that we did with actually with a local Annapolis producer as well, or sort of Maryland producer Wayne Rogers, who, we should say was one of the most kind of important guys in sort of our lives in launching our, you know, careers as well. We definitely would not be here without him kind of just helping us and supporting us from the start. But yeah, that was the first movie that we
And I
made
should
back
say,
in.
we've gone on to make 4 movies with Wayne. He
Yeah.
still is one of our closest friends in, not just the business, just in general. I
Yeah.
mean, so the Maryland connections run deep, and he's a big, supporter of the festival as well, and all things Maryland and the arts. So,
I love it.
amazing guy.
I love it. Yeah, James. So Jamesy Boy has Mary Louise Parker of Weeds and Ving Rhames and James Wade. Like you pulled some get a pretty cool cast there for your first feature. And then I guess, and then you do the late James Caan in The Good Neighbor, Woody Harrelson in the LBJ biopic LBJ, directed by Rob Reiner, the late Rob Reiner. I actually interviewed Rob. He came. And it's so tragic to even talk about Rob now, but he came to
He
promote
came to the
LBJ.
when he
Say
came to
again?
festival.
He came to Annapolis
Yeah,
Film Festival,
yeah,
He
and then
came to
I
the
yeah.
film festival. Yeah.
yeah, I remember he actually came, and then I came. I interviewed him. It wasn't there. I think it was Mayflower Hotel, something in DC. I remember. And then when he passed away, actually, NBC4 like re-aired our interview. But memories of I know it's bittersweet now, but I guess just memories of working with Rob. Give him his flowers. I mean, I feel like he's respected, but almost underrated. Like the guy has like one of,
I
if
mean,
not the best movie in like seven different genres. You know?
I know.
I mean, don't say the
Tim.
best string of movies. I mean, that series of movies
Yeah,
through the 90s,
yeah. 80s and
80s,
90s. Yeah,
90s,
80s and 90s.
it's hard to find someone who kind of had a hotter hand
yeah,
through those kind of whatever 6 or 7 movies. It's
yeah.
really unheard
Um, I'll say this is not to kind of shed a dark moment here on this podcast, but Rob was really the first person that Tim and I, who really was like a towering figure in this business
Mhm.
that Tim and I got a true mentorship from. And, um, we spent a lot of time with Rob and, LBJ, he was just the warmest, nicest, like
Yeah,
incredibly passionate guy. He really cared about the movie, but just as much as he cared about the movie was building the relationships with the people who he was making the movie with. I know in pre-production, Tim, me, Rob, one of the other producers, cinematographer, we'd all go out to dinner every night during pre-production. And on the night he passed, there's this video that Tim and I kept watching. We shared it with each other of Rob singing "My Girl" with at a restaurant with all the at the top of his lungs with the staff, and it was just this
they're
like
all singing
it
together. Ah,
really
was New Orleans.
captured.
Yeah. It was like New Orleans, like a kind of the sort of like a, local kind of French Quarter type restaurant. And,
wow. I'm
yeah.
just picturing him sing. I haven't seen the video you're talking about. That's personal, but
Yeah.
I can just imagining him singing, and then they all get done singing, everyone cheers, then they turn and there's Rob's mom saying, "I'll have what they're having."
That's right.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
great,
he was
man.
the best.
The
Yeah.
best. Well, rest in peace. But he will live on through movies. Seriously, he's frozen in time in all of these great movies and TV shows. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Meathead. But well, all right. Well, then I guess that brings us. It's hard to move on from such a sad subject, but I'll get us back on track. Um, Ingrid Goes West. I guess it brings us to that in
Yeah.
2017, starring Aubrey Plaza, who's started in Parks and Rec and has just been hilarious, and Elizabeth Olsen, who you would work with many, many times. We'll get to the other ones. I think that movie it was director Matt Spicer. It won the Waldo Salt Screenwriting Award at Sundance and went on to win the Indie Spirit Award for Best First Feature for Matt. Um, how did you decide on Matt? Did he write Ingrid Goes West? How did you find the
Wrote
script?
it.
That's what I want to know. Was Aubrey attached first? What order was that?
He co-wrote that with another writer, Dave Smith, and it actually came to us. It was sent to us, I believe, by CAA basically,
Okay.
and it just needed a producer, I think, at the time who could basically put it together, I think, really quickly. They had to start shooting in 7 or 8 weeks or something. And they told us the budget was going to be around 1.5 million, which, was not accurate at the end of the day, but ended up costing more than that. But we were able to kind of like, you know, came with Aubrey attached, actually came with Lizzie attached too, I think. And we just kind of um were able to just put the money together pretty quickly, get the crew together, get the rest of the cast, shot it, in Los Angeles. It was a really um stressful shoot because we had so little money. It's hard to shoot in LA for little money. I think when we were doing it, I think no one knew if this was going to actually work or not, because it was
Yeah.
such a crazy shoot. And even Lizzie, I think, said something to us, you know, recently of like, I had no idea if that film was going to work until she saw it. But then we all saw the first cut and we were like, wow, I can't believe it. And Matt just he really had the movie in his head the whole time. He had a
Yeah.
vision for it. And to this day, out of everything, I'm not, maybe not everything, but it's one of these movies that in every meeting we go into, people bring it up. Like it's aged well, I think,
A bit
for
of a
whatever
calling card. You drop that name, that title, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's you guys."
it just aged well. It's a movie that is kind of like just it was maybe a little bit before its time back
Mm,
in
yeah,
2017, but I
yeah,
think now people look at it and it's just
yeah.
um it's
So
kind
it's
of
crazy to think we made that movie 10 years ago.
I know when you say
Isn't
2017,
that
that
wild?
sounds like, oh, that's yesterday, but it's
But we
almost
shot it in 2016,
yeah, it's
shot
almost
you
in
10
know?
years ago. Yeah.
2016 and
Well, and actually, that same year, you don't produce, you executive produce, not produce, right? Wind River, right, with Elizabeth Olsen again. So two in
Yeah.
the same year.
yeah.
And I believe I love that movie, by the way, because I was a big fan of, he wrote the script for Hell or High Water. He didn't direct that, but then I think I'm talking about Taylor Sheridan, and then Wind River, right, was his directorial debut, I think.
It was, yeah.
So and folks, this everyone knows him now from Paramount's Yellowstone and Landman and all that. He's like got an empire unto himself. But what you two as executive producers, what did you see in Taylor? And it was a cool story, like a murder mystery, on Native American reservation. It was unique, I thought. But what did you see in Taylor?
Right. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was a writer, and you're like, hey, I think he can be the visionary as the director too.
Well, I'll just say, I mean, I think you didn't really know, about the directing yet, but I think for me at least, I, read that script and I think like all of Taylor's writing, but I specifically remember it in that the voice was just so clear and it just really felt like this was a filmmaker who was actually writing this. And
Yeah,
I think that's what I think made it feel like it's kind of pretty rare you read something and
yeah.
it's just like it just pops off the page. And that was what the movie ended up being.
Yeah. Highly
Yeah.
recommend Wind River. It is an underrated gem for folks if you missed it. And I guess to round out the 2017 trifecta, also is that you mentioned Spielberg, but you also executive produced Spielberg's The Post that same year too. And that's, gosh, Tom Hanks as Ben Bradley and Meryl Streep as Catherine Graham, all about the Washington Post coverage of the Pentagon Papers. So your movie kind of does for Vietnam coverage what all the President's Men did for Watergate. Literally some of the same characters like Ben Bradley. And a great movie. I'm probably going to show it in my class to my journalism class this year. But gosh, so you said so how big was Spielberg in instrumental? You said Rob was a major figure. Is Spielberg like the next big like huge dot on the map of your growth?
Yeah, I mean that this one's hard to really put. We don't have enough time to
Yeah.
really describe what this one was because of where it kind of came, the timing of when it came in our lives. And Tim and I had spent a long time developing that script with Liz Hannah, and never in our wildest imaginations did we think it was going to come together with Steven Spielberg, Meryl Streep, and
Yeah.
Tom Hanks. That was kind of one of those like winning a lottery ticket
Yeah.
moments.
The whole thing happened in basically one weekend too.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah,
was just
It all came
yeah.
together. Yeah.
we were told this might happen, and then on a Friday, and then on a Monday, it was all happening.
Yeah.
Um, and then to get to go spend that entire summer in New York on that set, sitting next to, the greatest of all time and
Yeah.
watching him direct actors who are the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
so it just was a real learning experience. It was, you always say like I'd love to be a fly on the wall, but we got to be in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And so hard to quantify the impact that made, but it certainly gave us a wind in our sails for sure.
Absolutely, and of course, nominated for Best Picture. I would guess it was a deserving nominee. I'm guessing didn't win because Spotlight just had one, so they're probably like, oh, let's not do another newspaper movie. But I'm assuming because you were executive producers, right? So I guess you're not like the actual producers are the ones that go to the Oscars, but you get your chance pretty soon
We
after
did
because
go
you
though.
say again.
We did go that year. We did go,
Oh,
but
you actually went? Cool. But your name
Yeah,
wouldn't have been on, like, you wouldn't have gone on stage
yeah,
if you went.
no, no, no.
yeah,
But you do go in that regard, is what I'm getting to for King Richard in 2021. I guess, technically, as the brothers, your first Best Picture nomination, right? So it's all culminating. Great movie, by the way. Will Smith as the hard driving father of Venus and Serena Williams, the tennis legends. I think I interviewed Ronaldo Marcus Green, the director, and John Bernthal about it. Yeah, when it came out.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But how'd you find the script? Did Will bring it to you, or was he already attached? Because he co-produces. It's the three of you guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know, this was really an idea that we had from, probably around 2014, 2015. And it was an idea we started, we probably met with 20 writers over the years trying to find the person who really had the right take for the project. We sent, a number of kind of cold emails to the Williams family, obviously got, no return back. They probably thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then around 2017, we had a general meeting with Zach Balin, who's the writer, and it was just like it was like being struck by lightning. I think Zach just like instantly responded to the idea. He 2 days later had an amazing take on the project. We hired him. We told him, listen, we have no rights here. We don't know the Williams family. The only way it's going to happen is if you write the, the most amazing script ever that's going to go around town and just take on a life of its own because it's going to be completely undeniable.
Yeah.
And most writers would be, I think, just kind of feel like the bar was just a little too high and the expectations, were unrealistic. But Zach, he wrote one of the best scripts we've ever read.
Yeah.
We read the first draft of it, and I think we both felt like this could really change our lives. And it did.
Absolutely. And of course, we go and watching all of his movies, all, Independence Day, Men in Black. We were all loving all Ali. We were loving it all of our through our youth and growing our coming of age. And this was the big culmination. He finally wins Best Actor. And that's all that happened.
That's all we'll discuss.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's all I
No,
remember. Yeah.
no, I do have to say, I covered the La La Land Moonlight thing backstage that year, and I thought that was the
Oh,
craziest
wow.
thing that ever happened at the Oscars, and then it gets immediately dethroned by the slap heard around the world,
It's funny. We were actually
Will Smith
having
and Chris
this
Rock.
discussion the other day, actually, with
Yeah.
someone. What was actually crazier, you think?
You could pick one, and I'd take the odds on the other one. You know what I mean? I'm reading the wrong uh final category is pretty big, but I think a superstar slapping another
Another
superstar.
superstar. Yeah.
But it was also the culmination, like when I'm trying to be respectful. I've asked DJ Jazzy Jeff about this too. I'd love to interview Will about it. But it was almost, I mean, you guys are the producer sitting in the audience. Like, that's like supposed to be the big feel good. He's the fan favorite. It's like Michael B. Jordan
Yeah.
this year, but even longer of a career. That's the one everyone was rooting for. And then all of a sudden, like, the air's kind of out of the room, and we watch him give the speech, but at the same time, we're like, oh gosh, like, should he be hauled out of there before he gets to get? It was a deserving performance. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a strange night. I mean, we were obviously 15,
yeah.
20 feet away from it when it happened. So
Yeah, I mean,
the whole thing was a little bizarre. But yeah, I mean it was a strange experience. Felt like the Twilight Zone. Felt like we were in an alternate reality for a minute.
Yeah.
we
Um,
should say though, we had like the most amazing experience with Will. Like there was no, I mean, he was a really just phenomenal person to work with who was like incredibly positive all the time,
Yeah.
very kind, like great, leader on set. It was a really just kind of crazy thing that happened that night.
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess moments
We,
of insanity.
yeah.
Everybody's capable of it, but
But
a great
but Tim's
performance,
right. We,
honestly.
we do we really do love the guy though.
Yeah,
Like genuinely.
I'm glad you said that. So, have you stayed? One more, just final. Let's put this to bed because this is your guys' podcast, not the Will Smith slap podcast. But have you stayed in touch with him? I assume you're obviously rooting for him to mount his
Yeah.
comeback, and he's got a lot of left in the tank.
We stayed in touch. We talked about doing a couple other things
Yeah.
together over the years, but yeah, I mean, we're in touch.
That's cool. Well, anyway, all that mess aside, I mean, I guess it'll forever be linked to the movie, but hopefully at some point, once the dust settles, and with hindsight, people will look back and forget about that necessarily, and appreciate the movie that you all produced. It's a phenomenal movie, easily one of that
Thank you.
year's best. And congratulations on the Best Picture nomination too, by the way. That must have been crazy to be sitting. I don't know if you were in LA or back home in Annapolis when they announced it, but that must have been wild.
Yeah, we were in LA.
Yeah.
We were in LA. It was a fun experience.
That's great. All right. Well, let's try to catch our listeners up to the present. Maybe I'll just run through a couple. We mentioned 8-Bit Christmas. I guess you get a PGA nomination, like a Best Picture for that for its category.
Hmm.
We're on
Um,
top of it.
say again.
There you are.
We're on top of
I
it.
like to do the research, right?
Yeah.
Well, I saw the Billy Ripken. Remember the bat. So there's the local connection. I have to give that its due.
Yeah.
um, But all right, well then let's go into because I want to get to an eternity in 1 second because my wife and I loved Eternity. By the way, that was one of the when I told her I was interviewing you guys, that was the one that she got excited about because we just
Oh,
watched it and loved it. But I guess real quick I'll rattle off before that. You mentioned villains, horror movie, Bill Skarsgård, fresh off of It, and right before Barbarian, which scared the crap out of me, scared to go in basement. Um, the sci-fi horror flick No One Will Save You with Caitlin Dever, book smart and all that stuff. And Short Term 12, early great role by her. And the psychological thriller Fair Play with Feeny Dynevor of Bridgerton. So, are you how can I tie them all together? Oh, like sort of the genre thriller, sci-fi horror-ish elements. Is there part of you got, you can do a big prestige biopic like King Richard, but is there part of you is there like part of your another corner of your heart and soul that really digs those, horror flicks?
it's just interesting. I wouldn't even say we gravitate towards horror. I think we love like a smart, character-driven thriller.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how I characterize, especially a Fair Play,
Yeah.
which is really rooted in a feeling of it being grounded
Yeah.
in the reality we live in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. I mean, No One Will Save You definitely was outside the box for what we typically would do, but we just thought Brian Duffield was a genius and had such a I mean, that script was 40 pages and it was all description, no dialogue. There's not a word spoken in the movie.
It's all
And we
visual
just thought
storytelling. Yeah.
we just thought it was such a big swing. And like, how can we not support that? So that was really kind of what led that.
All right. Well, then, without further ado, Eternity, starring Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen. That's the most recent one, other than the one we're about to watch at the festival, Caroline. Eternity with Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen. Again, Elizabeth is back. It's a through line of this conversation, I guess. But what we enjoyed of it was a little bit of like an Howard Brooks Defending Your Life or The Good Place, obviously, or even what was the Amazon Prime Upload. There's between realms, there, higher. But I say that, but it was its own thing too. You know what I mean? It was refreshingly original, I thought. And sort of the love triangle, and you didn't really know how it was going to end up. It kept us on our toes. We really appreciate it. But what did you all see in it? What did you enjoy about what that made you want to step in and do it?
Well, Tim, you want me to take this? I,
Yeah.
we had worked with the writer, Pat Canan,
Mhm.
We should actually
previously.
first, Trevor, we should give the connection because it is good and so it ties to Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
We actually met Pat, who was a White House Obama speechwriter,
Oh,
because basically he was assigned to give us a tour of the West Wing during LBJ.
ah,
Um, so he was taking us around, the West Wing, and Rob was there, and Woody Harrelson, a couple other people, and sort of right outside the Oval Office, he pulled us aside and was like, would love to get your guys' contact information because after I'm out of here, I actually want to write,
yeah,
be a screenwriter, and we traded information, and that was kind of the start of
nice,
the relationship. Now we have this movie with him, Eternity, and we have a couple other things too.
nice. It's all
And
about the
and
script.
so
It really is all about the script. Yeah.
always. And so Pat, we had done another script with him, which is still something we're putting together. But while that was happening, Pat kind of reached out to us and said, "Look, I don't have really much for this idea, but I think it's such a strong kind of core idea."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I am picturing a woman, an elderly woman who passes away, and when she comes to, she's in the afterlife, and she's got her first husband who
Yeah.
died when they were in their early 20s.
Back in the war. Yeah.
Yeah, never got to spend a life with.
Yeah.
And her second husband, who she spent 65 plus years with,
Yeah.
has kids, grandkids, and a whole life with.
Until
And
he
she now has
choked
to
on a
choose.
pretzel or something. What is it?
Exactly.
Something.
Until
Yeah.
she has to choose who to spend her
Yeah.
eternity with.
Right.
And I was like, I think we all just instantly went, holy moly. Like that is a
It's a moral
great,
quandary. It's one of those where the viewers like, well, I don't know what I would do. And
totally.
it's not like what's cool about it is it's not like she's cheating on one or the other because the one was they're both her husbands and he died. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's just it puts this thing where you can have a love triangle and all that going on in the other guy, but still she's still empathetic character. You know what I mean? She's not sleazy. So that's I don't know. That moral quandary is like was what sold it to me, you know?
And David Frayne, who came in and did wrote it with Pat afterwards and directed the movie. I mean, David really had such a clear vision
Yeah.
for what it felt like, looked like, how to strike the tonal balance from something that is quite broad and can be silly at times to also very grounded and endearing and heartwarming, you know. And so it was a lot of different kind of it was a tightrope walk to kind of balance all the tones. And I can say, I mean, Tim and I, you just had one of the most like wonderful experiences making that movie. We shot up in Vancouver
I thought it was
in
up
the
in
summer
heaven.
of yeah. So, by the way, it feels like it. It's so
No, that's
beautiful in the
Iowa.
summer up
Sorry.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, it was just that was one of the, not that it's rare that you get a shoot that's so
Yeah.
kind of perfect, but that really was as close to it as it comes.
Yeah. And there's just little moments too. It's like that's that core love triangle moral quandary. What would you do is the core of it. But there was just other little cool touches that were dropped in of like, would you go see your favorite band that passed away? Who is it? Is it Dean Martin? I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it
yeah, D.
turned
Martin.
he's drinking and it's like an impersonator of Dean. Anyway, I don't want to
It's on
spoil.
Apple TV now. For those
Yeah.
who haven't
Let's not
seen it,
spoil
you
too
can see
much,
it
but it's great.
on Apple TV.
Apple
Exactly.
TV, Eternity, check it out. All right, well, and that brings us full circle then to Carolina, Caroline, which everyone should come see at the Annapolis Film Festival. The festival runs March 26th to 29th, but Your All's film plays on Saturday, so everybody don't miss it. Samara Weaving, you're not going to, and Kyle Gallner, Keira Sedgwick, you're not going to miss it. In the final seconds, I know you're focusing on this now, but I want to, real quick teaser on what else is coming up. Isn't there like an Anthony Bourdain biopic, Tony, coming up, starring the great Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers and Emilia Jones, sorry, from Coda?
Exactly.
Yep.
That'll will
And Antonio
probably
Banderas.
Oh, you might have heard of him.
we can't announce a release date just
Yeah.
yet, but it's coming soon. And then we have one other indie film which is done that Trevor wants to talk about. Um,
Yeah, we have a great film, really wonderful film called Atonement, directed by a guy named Reed Van Dyke, who we also made this movie with our fellow Marylander Wayne Rogers.
All right.
Um,
Not to be
and it's
confused with the other Atonement from like
not to be
2007 or whatever.
confused
Yeah.
with that. And it stars Boyd Holbrook, Kenneth Branagh, and Hiama Abbas. And
Ooh, heavy hitters.
yeah, it's a really powerful drama.
Nice.
It's terrific.
And that is what set for sometime next year. That's just
We
in
don't know.
development. Yeah,
It's
in
still
the
being
future.
worked on, so we don't have
Yeah,
a set release on that yet.
awesome. Well, keep an eye out for that Atonement. Keep an eye out for the Anthony Bourdain Tony movie. Just the idea of that troubled globetrotting chef, food taster, that cultural
Well,
icon is going to
I'll
be
tell
amazing.
you, we our movie is just about one summer
Oh, really?
in the life of 19-year-old Bourdain. The
Oh,
summer he
really?
comes
So it's
out
like a
to
snapshot.
Provincetown.
Okay.
It's a snapshot. It's a summer movie. It is summer coming of age
I like that.
about. It's basically just a very small section of his life, but it's really terrific.
That's a smart way to do it because it's hard to do the whole, it's hard to do from birth to death. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's just take a little sliver and it says about the man, and then yeah, you
mhm.
see
exactly.
everything that you know already about him. Everyone knows about him, so let's get a little insight on what made him him. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Smart, gentlemen. You're always taking cool angles on these projects. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, you've been more than generous with your time. I really, really appreciate it. I assume you'll keep producing together. It's not going to be like the Coens where they kind of split, and you're going to keep being producer brothers for the foreseeable future, right?
Hope so, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim's a little less sure,
No,
but
I think it's
Well,
that's the
either way,
plan.
Either way, I appreciate you joining us. Seriously, you're an inspiration to any, film lovers or, aspiring filmmakers in the area to see two Marylanders make it big, brothers no less. Especially, started shooting those home movies back home, Trevor, and it's really, really cool. Again, everyone, it's
Thanks,
called
Jason.
Carolina Caroline, this Saturday at the Annapolis Film Fest. Get your tickets now. Hey, I appreciate it. Seriously, this is great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for doing all the research you did. It makes our lives easier to not have to explain stuff. So that was cool.
I didn't know he would ask about virtually every movie we did.
Yeah, it's like, what did we forget? And then I was like, oh, you missed the threesome, which played at Annapolis Film Festival last year,
Which was that one?
which is on Netflix. You should check it out.
What's it called?
It's called The Threesome.
Yep.
It's really, don't be thrown by the title. It's a great date night movie with your wife.
Oh, all right. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I really, really appreciate it. This was great. Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
See you
More to
guys.
come. Okay.
All right.
Take care.
See ya.